Hello, my name is Dylan Tran, and I am doing a course review on my speech communication class I took with Mr. Sexton at Palm Beach State in the spring of 2019. I would suggest that everyone takes this class as it was really important, as it helped me develop my ability to communicate to an audience, and this class was very insightful in how to address the audience and what I should be doing to improve my speech ability. One of the main things I learned from this class that's applicable to the real world is creating an outline. Um, Most of the time when people create a outline, they would create a manuscript that would just read off of that was approved by someone else. And that's really bad because a manuscript, you're not really addressing the audience or who you're talking to. So when creating an outline, you can just have a quick glance at it and you will know the information you're supposed to go through and the structures of it. And that's very important when having a speech because structure is very important, which is why I think everyone uses a manuscript as the structure is absolute and you cannot change it. And an outline also gives you flexibility when to how your audience reacts, right? Because if something is boring, then you might want to switch up the topic really quickly to something else, and that's very important. Another thing that you should consider is when you create an outline is you have to address the demographic of your audience. That was very important in the speech. I didn't really think about who my audience were when normally creating a speech for a club or something. So what I mean by addressing the demographics of the audience, you have to do research on who your audience are. Like it wouldn't make sense for me to try to convince a audience that I know is going to be pro-life to support a pro-choice decision. That it just wouldn't make sense, right? So my goal should change, right, from trying to convince my audience to making them like think and challenge your beliefs, right? Like I want them to review the evidence, right? I don't want to like full on convince their decision, convince them. And another thing I learned was that when I'm trying to convince an audience, right, the Monroe motivation sequence is very important. And I think the most important aspect in the Monroe motivation sequence is that you can't assume that everyone has the same need, right? Because everyone's different and they're busy, right? So they're not going to be thinking what you're thinking and what you're trying to sell. So when you're using the Monroe motivation sequence, you have to create the need. And creating needs very important, as if they don't see the need to buy it, why would they buy it? So you got to create the need and then satisfy that need. And that's that at the core, that's the Monroe motivation sequence. And I think I would recommend this class, right? Is because people think that speech is a very easy thing to do, but like when you do it, it's very difficult for first timers, right? So this class really helps you practice, and practice is the most important thing when practicing your communication skills.